Dallas Cowboys obviously wanted to upgrade their wide receiver position.
There was a lot that came with George Pickens off the field.
Pittsburgh knows what they got rid of.
George Pickens, with that immense amount of talent, can no longer exist in that locker room. It's going to be difficult for him to exist anywhere.
If you're Dallas, you better sit there and go, ding. I don't know if Dallas knows what they're getting.
When you have two real threats,
CeeDee Lamb on one side, George Pickens on the other.
That's what I'm thinking. The excitement comes from
This squarely puts the Cowboys as a playoff contending football team this coming season.
You heard Dan Orlovsky say it. The big news of the week, the Cowboys offense got a lot better. As we welcome you into NFL Live, we have a special guest today, current Baltimore Raven Kyle Van Noy. Kyle's going to share analysis, opinion today. We're going to put you on the spot a little bit, hear your insight. We can't wait. We also have Phil Yates.
Just me.
Yeah, sorry, Phil. That did seem a little dismissive, but
I'm happy being just Phil Yates today.
When we've got Kyle, you got to prove yourself. All right, let's remind you just how great Kyle is. He's played 11 seasons in the NFL. He was originally a second-round pick by the Lions. He's played for 5 different teams. This coming season, it's going to be his 3rd with the Ravens. He's a 2-time Super Bowl champ. I don't see the ring on you, though. We'll have to maybe next time. Tomorrow, we'll see. He's coming back tomorrow. Winning twice with the Patriots in a 3-year span. He was part of the 28-3 comeback, Super Bowl 51. Helped the Pats win again in Super Bowl 53, and Kyle had the best individual season of his career in 2024. 12.5 sacks, a career high, the 4th most in the NFL, leading to his first Pro Bowl. It was fun to see you there as well. That's pretty. You feel good after seeing all that.
That's a good hype up. I'm ready to play again.
You got a decade left in your career at this rate.
I'm ready to go. Thanks that was a great intro.
You're only getting better as you go along. I mean, not many
like fine wine.
I love it. There we go. I was hoping you'd say that. All right, now back to a guy that Kyle played twice a year. George Pickens spoke about being traded to the Cowboys. This just came in moments ago.
I'm grateful to be here, and I'm grateful to play with Dak. As far as, roles and stuff like that, I'm just here to work. Whatever role finds me best is where I'm going to find myself. And I feel like growth for me is taking a great direction and me coming to the Cowboys. I'm kind of where my feet are right now, to be honest. I'm not really thinking about contract talks. I'm just glad to be here at Cowboys right now and, trying to build a winning culture.
All right, Adam, what are the Cowboys hoping for with Pickens in Dallas?
Well, how many times did we hear about the Dallas Cowboys potentially pursuing a wide receiver this offseason? How many times did Field Yates give them a wide receiver in the draft, whether it was Tedero or McMillan or some other player that could come in and complement CeeDee Lamb? And ultimately, Dallas waited until after the draft to trade essentially a 3rd and 6th round pick to Pittsburgh to get one of the most talented wide receivers in the league. Talent, of course, is not the question. There are other issues and questions, and he will have to overcome in Dallas, George Pickens will, a history of other Steelers wide receivers being traded and producing less in their new home. It's a long list of wide receivers. Antonio Brown, Mike Wallace, Antonio Holmes, Juju Smith-Schuster, Deontay Johnson, Martavis Bryant, Chase Claypool. Very few wide receivers have been moved away from Pittsburgh and gone on to shine elsewhere. Emmanuel Sanders, one of the only exceptions. And now it's up to George Pickens to try to do something that many other wide receivers could not. He's 24. He's going to have a great opportunity to do it. He's got a lot on the line in the last year of his contract, but it's going to be up to him this season.
It's an interesting list, Adam, for sure. And look, I mean, no one doubts the talent of George Pickens, right? He'll join CeeDee Lamb to form what could be one of the better wide receiver duos in the league. Both wideouts went over 2,000 receiving yards in the last 2 seasons. They're one of 2 sets of current teammates who each had at least 2,000 yards since 2023, along with Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams on the Rams. So really good company there. Mina, how do you see Pickens fitting in this offense for the Cowboys?
Seamlessly. I mean, I like it for a lot of the same reasons I liked the possibility of Tedero McMillan going to the Cowboys, and Pickens is more proven. Big-bodied X-receiver, contested catch guy, explosive downfield. Pairs really well with CeeDee Lamb, who, of course, has the versatility to play in the slot and outside, so you can hunt matchups. And the quarterback, Dak Prescott, who's aggressive, throwing downfield when he sees one-on-ones. I also think having both Pickens and Lamb will help the run game, which has struggled in recent years. They're going to face a lot of those too high shell coverages, more room underneath. They've invested in the offensive line. They drafted a back. So I think we're going to see a more balanced offense as a result.
Yeah, Kyle, you heard what Pickens said about Dallas. You've been traded before. How does a player go about entering a new locker room, trying to ingratiate himself with everybody else already in there?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing is gaining the trust of your players and your teammates. George Pickens, great, phenomenal talent. Now he has to do the, hey, how you doing? You know, are you doing good today? You know, build the trust of your teammates. Get a relationship with that quarterback, Dak Prescott. He said Dak Prescott already reached out to him, so that's key. But he really has to do that in practice. One thing that I did when I got traded was gain the trust with my play. I didn't go in and talk and do all that. I tried to gain the trust of my teammates. I did that in practice. The first day, thanks Jimmy G, I picked him off, and that was kind of the start of my trust with the teammates and the coaches. So George Pickens, please gain the trust of your teammates, and then the rest, you're good at what you do. Just make plays.
So can the Cowboys trade for Jimmy G from the Rams, late round pick, just to get the George Pickens confidence sky high? So on paper, we've talked about this now. So the cost was moderate in terms of the draft compensation, right? Essentially a third and a fifth next year. On top of that, George Pickens is going to make less than $4 million next season for a guy who's already got a 1,000-yard season on his ledger. That is basically pennies in NFL wide receiver money. On top of that, Mina talks about the fit. It's a quarterback who's unafraid to be aggressive. He'll be the number 2. He'll take pressure off of CeeDee Lamb. All of these things seem great, right? It reminds us, though, that this is a straightforward trade. This trade will be as good as George Pickens wants and allows it to be. George Pickens has a chance to prove that he can be accountable. He can be a reliable teammate every single day, that he can control his emotions on the field. If those weren't question marks, major question marks, I would say, he wouldn't have been available in the first place. The Steelers wouldn't have traded the second-round pick to the Seahawks and then paid DK Metcalf $150 million. On paper, there's so much to like about this trade. And for a guy who's going into the final year of his rookie contract with this huge pot on the proverbial other side of the rainbow available, Kyle, this is a massive, massive opportunity for him to make good on what seems like a tailor-made fit.
Yeah, I mean, Jahan Dodson was traded last year from the Redskins to the Eagles for a third-round pick. I think the Cowboys are getting great value in a third-round pick. But more importantly, let's say he does ball out and they don't want to pay him. The Cowboys get a comp pick when he gets paid by another team, and I think that's really, really good value as well.
Okay, if the great Eric DeCosta, the GM of your Ravens franchise, is watching right now, he's so proud. You're talking about the potential for a comp pick. Nobody loves their comp picks like the Baltimore Ravens. You are truly a Raven. Right? Well done.
I love it. I mean, it's funny. I've even seen some stuff on Twitter where people were like, oh, look, you know, Jerry Jones and Howie Roseman, they're both playing this so well. And I don't think any of us think that Jerry Jones is quite the level of what Howie Roseman has done. But you do see some of these moves that the Cowboys have made, and you say, okay, we see what you're working toward here. All right, let's get back to Kyle's team, talk a little bit more about the Ravens. They made some key additions on both sides of the ball this offseason. In free agency, Baltimore added DeAndre Hopkins to the wide receiver group. They signed Cooper Rush to be Lamar Jackson's backup. They focus on the defense early in the draft, selecting safety Malachi Starks and edge rusher Mike Green in the first 2 rounds. Kyle, let's talk about this Ravens defense, okay? What do you think is the next step for you guys?
The next step is get to that last game and eventually win that last game. But really, I think what they did